Welcome back to another episode of Broke Up, Not Broken. If you're going through a divorce, don't worry, you're not alone. This is your one-stop shop for mastering your life and your finances throughout the entire divorce process. Today, I'm thrilled to have Nicole Bright with us. Nicole is a single mother of two, an author, motivational speaker, and a certified divorce coach. Nicole has always had a passion for personal growth, but during her life's journey, she encountered the life-altering experience of divorce. Persevering through this, Nicole was motivated to teach others the many tools she learned through this experience. So much so that she has refocused her life coaching business to help people dealing with divorce. Through her coaching and speaking engagements, she is helping people put their lives back together one step at a time. Ultimately, Nicole's purpose is to help individuals become their best selves. So listen, if you're feeling overwhelmed by your divorce or your current station in life, please don't be. Nicole is here to help us break it down so you can feel confident and prepared by creating a clearer picture of not only your financial situation, but how you can tackle some of the personal challenges you might be facing along the way. So grab a cup of coffee or your beverage of choice, buckle up, and let's get you once again personally and financially empowered. Nicole, it's amazing to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. This conversation is right up your alley. We talk to a lot of people in this show about money and handling finances and some of the psychological aspects you have to deal with in divorce and so on, all the stuff that is in your wheelhouse. So this is going to be a really great conversation. But Talk to me a little bit more about like how did you get to be where you are? And for those that don't understand the work that you do as a divorce coach, because when I went through my divorce in 2017, I had no idea people like you existed. So, and I could have really used your help. You would have been my phone a friend all day long for sure. So how did you get to be where you are? And tell me more about the work that you do.
Okay. So I do have a quick little personal story. So basically I got married really, really young at 22. And so divorce was a no word. I was in a very strict religious background and went to church every other day. So it was not even thought of. I got married, never thought I could even hear that word. And so what I was doing is I was a stay-at-home mom. I was mentoring young women in the church. And so this young lady was telling me, she's like, oh, you should be a life coach. And I was like, oh, okay. I had no idea what a life coach was, number one. And so I kind of looked it up. I'm like, oh, that sounds like me, because I've always wanted to be a psychology, always wanted to help people, mentally, whatever. So it was kind of like something I could do with my young child and, not having to worry about lots of education. So anyways, so make a long story short, I started actually life coaching. And I life coached women just like me at the time. So that meant they were stay-at-home moms. They had high-earning husbands that, had a lot going on. They were balancing everything and kind of feeling like single moms at certain times, So I was helping them. I built up a couple of clients here and there. And then my life blew up. So this happened March the 20th, 2018. So by April 19th, 2018, I was gone. I left the marital home. I didn't have a vehicle. Looking back at that, never tell anybody to do that, right? But I left everything. And I was on my own, had a weekend job, rented a car on the weekend. And so I couldn't help anybody. So I gave all my clients up. Didn't have one client to my name, was just doing my weekend job. And I was going through a lot, but the coach was always in me. So the coach in me was creating a whole thing for other people and didn't even know it. So one day, I think it was like 2019, maybe in the summer, I was looking at everything I had and I was like, this actually can help somebody else. Yeah. And so I refocused my attention on divorce coaching. And I tell you, it has been my passion because, sometimes when something happens, it happens for a reason. We don't want negative stuff to happen, of course, but always in my coaching, I said, let's find the light spot in darkness. There's always a light spot, something we can gather from that. And so that's where I am. I turned my pain into passion, basically. So that's how I got to divorce coaching.
That's pretty incredible. And that's effectively the same way that I got into to do this work myself. And I had always I had had a passion for this type of work just because I'm the product of a divorce. My parents were divorced when I was a young kid. And that's really what propelled me into the world of finance, because I saw how much they struggled trying to make ends meet. And I wanted to ensure that, my kids and my family never had to feel the same level of pressure as well. And that's really kind of what got me into the world of finance. And I had wanted to do this work years and years and years ago, but the company that I was working for at the time was like, we don't do that kind of work here. Put your head down, make some more phone calls, kid, and get out, let's drive some more business. And I stupidly, followed their advice. And then sure enough, 2017, I decided I wanted a divorce and could have used all the experience that I have now through that process. But, live and learn. But I'm glad that you turned, it's the lemonade from lemons scenario, right?
That's exactly what it is. And with you, it's like when you have a passion inside, it always comes back up. And it's going to be some point where you got to answer that call. You have to, or you just won't have the full potential of yourself and who are you supposed to be. Like I have a book, it's called Identity Crisis, Knowing Who You Are. So when you have that identity crisis and your life is turned upside down, that is the time. That is the time to rediscover you and to discover the greaterness of you, And I think that's when the time of turmoil, I think that's what happens, Either you're going to go really right or really left. People fall and they really, really fall. Or people fall and they're like, wait a minute. And then they regather themselves. And that's what I do in my business. I help people regather themselves quicker with me than if they could on their own.
So what are those? I know that there's, in your process, there's like 12 steps, right? And so what are, I don't know if you need to walk us through every single step, but conceptually, what are those steps? So if somebody were to reach out and want to hire you, what would their experience look like?
So I think I'll talk about a couple of steps that are really prevalent. Like some steps are more out there than others. Some steps come up all the time. And the other ones, some people may not go through. But one of the biggest steps is rediscovering yourself. So let me start with the process. So when people call me, the very first thing I want to do is I want to let people vent. I want to let them talk, get it all out. I mean, when you talk, you learn so much. And when you talk to someone that's not judging you, has no interest in what's going on. Like they're not telling you to do this and this and this for their own gain, but they're just solely there for you and you can trust them and you have a safe space. So I sit and I listen, I let them vent. And as I listen, I feel like this is a God-given talent for me where I can listen and I can talk my way through what they're saying and I get what they're saying before they even get it. Like I'm able to pull things out of them that they didn't even know exist, So I let them talk and I assess their greatest needs. So I usually start with 3 greatest needs. Do they need to rediscover themselves? Do they need to learn how to disconnect from that former spouse? Do they need to accept the marriage is over? Those are the 3 biggest things I encounter. Them not being able to know who they are, regathering who they are. So when I figure out what the 3 things is, the next call is usually about what I have discovered through talking to them. And so I say, okay, are we in agreement that these are the things that really are bothering you, the things that you need to work on? And it's like a yay or nay thing, So once we come into agreement, and then we can form a plan, an action plan on what we need to do in order to accomplish the goals to move forward.
Got it. So there's some element in there of like rediscovering your purpose and yourself, right? One of the things that in my own divorce, once the divorce was finalized, I told myself that next year was Operation Rebuild. Right. And I wanted to make sure I could get myself back on my feet financially because the divorce was incredibly ridiculously expensive. And, you divide up all your assets and, you basically flush half of them down the toilet, which is effectively what I did. So how do you deal with that? Because, you're a mom, I'm a dad, and then all of a sudden you go to being a single mom and a single dad. And there's like an identity crisis there, right? So how
there is.
How do you tackle that?
Yeah, because when I do my public speaking, I talk a lot about when I was married, everything was wrapped up into being a wife. Okay. In order to be a good Christian, I had to be a good wife. order to be a good mom, I had to be a good wife. You know, in order to be a good wife, I had to be a good wife. You know, it's all about being a good wife and pleasing him and making sure he was happy. And, you know, what can I do? Make sure our family stay together, because I never wanted a broken home. Even though, remember this, a home can be broken and two adults can be in it. Just so people know that. Just putting that out there. You know, we're afraid of this broken home. But listen, homes that are happy and thriving with people that love one another, that's what we should be trying to accomplish, first of all. So what I tend to do is talk about themselves. A lot of people are not even comfortable sometimes when you are. I don't know. I do have men clients, but I feel like with the women, more than anything, they have lost their sense of self, you know, and they don't even know, because I'm like, okay, so what do you like? They don't even know what kind of cereal they like. You know, they don't know how to put themselves first. They don't know how to say no. You know, they don't know how to say, okay, well, I want to do this, and maybe you can do that next week or tomorrow. You know, it seemed to be selfish to put your happiness out there and say, this is what makes me happy, and this is what doesn't make me happy, and I'm going to stick what makes me happy. You know, of course, there's a balance, and I always teach the balance. The life balance for me is it talks about what stage your child is in, because certain stages your children do need everything. Of course, if you have an infant, they're going to need way more of your time than if you have a 12-year-old like I have, or 18 plus. Of course, it's different, you know? And so you really got to realize what stage you are in your life. You know, do you need to work more on your spiritual aspect? You know, you need to draw closer to whatever you call is your spiritual life, you know, draw closer together, or your personal thing where your health, you know, exercising. Do you want to put more time into that? So always have them do an assessment on what they're looking for. What does happiness look like for you? You know, do you want to lose weight? Do you need to kind of go back to school and learn some new things? It could be a million things, but you need to prioritize. And your kid, guess what? Your kid is not always at the top. And I know it's hard to say that. It's the truth. Sometimes making sure you run every day should be at the top. You just got to know what stage in life you're at, what season you're in.
A lot of the women that we work with, they're caught in this conundrum that you're describing right now, the identity crisis. And the other thing that we see a lot is they now go from being that stay-at-home mom, the maternal role that they played in the house, to now they have to go out and get a job or the education you talk to. And they like, even in my own situation, like we had this perfect Facebook family and the white picket fenced house and all these other things. And I'm behind the scenes, I'm like, this is not what people think. This is right. So how do you handle that? Right. Because you one day you're stay-at-home mom, the maternal person, you know, like you said, being the perfect wife, to I now have to be an employee or go get myself some skills, and so I can generate some cash here, which is, you know, I have some questions on the financial side too coming up here. And so, like, how do you navigate that?
So for me, fortunately, before my life blew up, I got a steady job 9 months before that happened. And the funny thing is that, like a stay-at-home mom does sometimes, we start and stop, you know, as far as jobs. And so, because my number one was always like, if it's interfering with the home, I'm just going to quit, you know. So there'll be no quitting this job, you know. So what I say is, you have to view yourself a different way, okay? You have to be more empowered to say, okay, I'm making my own money, so I'm making my own decisions. So many stay-at-home mothers, wives are so not powered. They have no power because of the situation. And I'm not saying all stay-at-home moms, I do not want to color them all like that, but you do lose your voice somewhat because you say, oh, well, he's paying the bills and he's doing all this and that. So I'm just going to be a little quiet. I'm just going to lay back and do what he wants. I don't want to rock the boat. I need my family to stay this way. So we talk about, what do you truly want to do? Let's get a budget. What do you want to bring to the table for you and your children? You know, what does that look like for you? Because you are the rise and fall of your future. You know, everything's on you. So it becomes empowering. It does. When they figure out that some things are broken, you know, like broken where I'm talking about, like the handcuffs are coming off. They're not bound anymore from certain rules they didn't even know they had within that relationship. And they figure out, wait a minute, I make 100% of the rules. I mean, even with me, I was just like, wow, I didn't realize how much I just leaned on everything from that former spouse to do. And you take your life back. It's just a sense of, you know, learning how of fulfillment and learning how to love yourself again and say, this is not just for me, but this is for my children.
Yeah.
You know, especially when there's kids involved.
Yeah. And it might seem strange to have those feelings, especially related to money, because, you know, money can't really buy you happiness. It can buy you a jet ski, and if you've ever driven on a jet ski, there's some happiness there. So
There's a lot of happiness there.
Let's just face some facts, right? But I don't want to overlook the important message here for listeners, and the important lesson is one that I share with everybody. And I've been having this conversation with clients. I've worked with probably 1,200, 1,400 households over my career. I've been doing this almost 20 years now.
Oh, wow.
And what I will tell you is that you're spot on with exactly what you said. And usually, not to be sexist, but you women out there tend to be lulled to sleep when it comes time to talk about the financial stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the problem is, and this is a lesson I try to teach my stepdaughter and my daughters, and let them know, like, hey, you need to understand how this stuff works, how to invest money, how to save money, interest rates, all that stuff, and learn how to manage credit and all of it, because you don't want to rely upon a dude to handle all of that for you. Because if you're on the precipice of a divorce, or you're going through one now, and that was you're feeling the pain. Because so many people that we work with, so many people that I've worked with over the years, I can't even tell you how many times it's the husband comes into the office, or in this Zoom environment these days, we're meeting with the husband, and I've met the wife one time, or she doesn't participate in any of the conversations because he's the financial decision maker. If and when they get divorced, it's a problem for her. So again, the message here is that if that's you, now's the time to start like working with financial advisors and people like Nicole that are out there that can help you through this, because you can make some pretty significant financial blunders through the divorce if that happens to you, if you don't have an understanding of what you own, how you own it, the liabilities you have, the assets you have, and all of that, which is what we're trying to. I'm on my soapbox here, but I'm so passionate about this, which is why we're doing this, right? This is why we do this, is to educate people to not make the same mistakes that other people make.
Yes. And like me, just walking away. And then I thought about things that I wanted and things I should have took. And it is what it is. And then I learned something greater, that I was better at finance than I ever knew. And I do so well at it. And I probably should have been in charge, you know.
Looking back, possibly.
Yes, I feel like I would have had way more to walk away from, Jamie. Yes.
What are some of the tools that you use from a financial planning perspective to help people in divorce?
See, now I don't personally. I have someone I refer them to. I really don't get a part of the financial so much. I just I help them with the budgeting. That's about it. I am not that great financial planner where I'm telling you where to put your money and how to do this or that. But I have someone I work with, and she does, like, we have wine and we have cheese, and us women, we come together and we talk about, and the number one question, now these are from successful women. The number one question is, how do I protect my assets from my incoming husband? Can you believe that? That's the number one question.
And what do you tell them?
Answer it.
And what do you tell them?
I don't, should we talk about that? Well, we tell them to basically, as soon as you decide to make that decision, there's certain things you have to stop putting money in. That's one of the very first things she tells them. Like, then it can't be considered a marital asset.
I like it. Yeah, we and I appreciate the insight there as far as the budgeting goes. That's one of the very first things we work on with all of our clients. We, from a process perspective, we'll look at income, expenses, assets, liabilities first. Help them create their financial balance sheet, their family balance sheet. So
Yes.
so both sides, both parties understand what they have and what some of the decisions they're going to have to make around dividing up those assets.
Yeah,
And
I
we'll
used
work
to
with
budget to the penny. I used to budget to the penny. When I first started my journey by myself, to the penny, I knew where everything was going,
Yep.
because that gives you a peace of mind. See, people, they shy away from that because they're all like nervous and upset about it. But what they don't understand, if they tackle it first, it'll give them peace on the back end.
And it's not an exercise that you can do once and set it
No,
and forget it.
exactly.
I probably have 6 or 8 clients in my wealth management company that we're working with right now. We literally, the gal that I'm meeting with this afternoon, is the only thing we're working on with her is her budget. And this might be a 6-month process with her.
Wow.
But what I've found is that because the financial planning software we use and the tools and resources we have, if we start chipping away at it like 1 month at a time, by the time they get to month 4 or 5 or 6, there's much more free cash flow found.
Nice.
I have a case study I can share with you, which is I have a gentleman that I worked with. He was $700 a month in the hole every month.
Wow.
And by the time we worked through the budgeting exercise with him, he was positive almost $2,000. Such an impactful thing, right? And it put him in a position where, then this has nothing to do with divorce, but this put him in a position where he was able to move out of the house that he was sharing with 2 other guys that he could not stand, but he was doing it because it was all he could afford, to having his own 2-bedroom apartment.
I love that. See, that's all it's about, changing lives, right? Changing people's lives. Yes.
Yeah.
I love
that. I'm super appreciative that you brought up the budgeting, because it's not sexy. It's not something you want to talk to your friends over the water cooler about. Just like, as opposed to, the great cryptocurrency trade you just made. But this is the important stuff. So we get once they work on the budget and you've kind of got that dialed in. Any other tools and resources that you usually share with clients that might be impactful?
So one thing that I really, and let me tell you something about the market has really shown me, because I don't know if I told you, I help people. I was trying to help people after they got divorced, right? Helping them recover. But what has happened is I started getting people calling me that wasn't divorced. Can you believe that? They weren't divorced. They just wanted to talk about it. And I was like, I can't help you. I can't help you. And so finally, I don't know what made this woman break through with me. And I finally helped somebody. And I've been helping her for 1 year and 8 months right now. And she's about to file, I think, in a couple months. So I essentially helped with when he moved out of the marital home, how to start co-parenting the kids and all that. So I helped doing all that. And so then, I'm going to continue on during the divorce. And there's different things during the divorce. So it depends on what stage you're at and your needs as well, just to put that in there. And also, one of the biggest things is to help them disconnect. And that's the hardest thing, because their ex-spouse is right here. Everything they say matter, and it can't matter anymore. They're no longer your spouse. They have went down here now. And if your mind doesn't change, they'll still be controlling you, leading you, affecting you, and you have to downgrade them. And so we do that on a case by case as things come up. Literally, I've tried to do exercises and tools with that. That doesn't work. It just has to be a case by case. And what I teach them to do is set your boundaries and stay with it and keep reiterating the same things to them, repetition, and stick with it and know that one day they're going to understand, not that you can't negotiate some things, but know what's non-negotiable. We all have negotiable things and non-negotiable things, and know what they are. And that's one of the biggest things as well.
Wow, that's powerful. And be brief and be gone, right? That's my famous motto. Be brief and be gone. You don't need to send war and peace emails and text messages and stuff. One word answers are perfectly acceptable in a divorce.
And that's hard for women. That's hard for us. Listen.
Yeah, I love it when I'll ask, even to this day, we're 7 years post divorce for me. And even to this day, if I send a message that's, one sentence or two sentences, sometimes I get back, like you're this, you're that, name calling and everything else. It's like, really? We're not over this yet. Come on. So
well, we develop one-liners. Me and my clients, I'm sorry that you feel that way. That is your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Understood. Because once you have explained where you're at in that, don't keep explaining it. You are no longer married to this person.
Yeah.
You don't have to engage.
My other one is, you have to be the CEO of your life and treat the case very pragmatically, be very stoic. Be very professional in your emails, like you were the CEO of your own business, right?
I like that.
CEO of Nicole Incorporated, and you want to make sure that anything you say and do can be used in the court of law. And the last thing you want is to have all of your nasty emails put up on a projector screen for the public and the judge to see. That's the last thing you need.
And I don't know, but Michigan is one of those no fault states, so it doesn't matter all these. This and that happened, that and this. And that's the biggest things that I know the divorce attorneys have problems with. Okay, you can tell me all this, but it doesn't matter. And it's hard for them to know that. And that's why they send them to me.
I get it. And almost every state, newsflash people, almost every state, except for a couple of one probably being Louisiana because they have some really strange laws. And I think Maryland as well are all no fault states.
Oh, really? Okay. I wasn't sure. Okay.
Yeah. No one cares if your husband's a narcissist or your ex-wife is having an affair. Nobody cares about it. Talk to your therapist about it because it has no bearing on your case.
No boundaries.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Well, fortunately or unfortunately, I mean, at the end of the day, cheating, unfortunately, isn't illegal, but it happens all the time.
It does. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Nicole, this was an awesome conversation. If people want to reach out to you and learn more about your services and the work that you do and maybe even work with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
So I'm so old school. And I would say email me. So let me give you the email. And it's very simple. So it's Coach Nicole Bright @gmail.com. Now, the Bright is spelled BRIGHT. Nicole is spelled regular. So Coach Nicole Bright @gmail.com. And just email me and then you're in touch.
I thought you were going to say send me a fax. I had somebody today.
I'm not that old school.
I had somebody today tell me they needed me to fax them documents, and I was like, "What are we talking about?" It is 2004 when we're recording this, but yeah, it's crazy. Nobody should use fax machines anymore, people. Anyway, it was so great to have you with us. I really appreciate the insight. And listeners, thank you so much for joining us today. And a special thank you once again to Nicole for sharing such profound insights on personal transformation and financial empowerment during the divorce process. So to learn more about Nicole's work or join, you have a Reveal You masterclass, right? So we can send people to the website.
Yeah, you can send people to the website. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, NicoleBright.com. NicoleBright.com. Simple.
Perfect. To learn more about Nicole's work or join that masterclass, the Reveal You masterclass, visit NicoleBright.com. Don't worry, all these links and access to her email and everything will be in the show notes. But if you're facing your own financial challenges during or after divorce, remember that help is just a few clicks away with us at AllegiantDS.com. So don't forget to subscribe for more empowering discussions. And until next time, embrace your journey to becoming the best version of yourself, both personally and financially.